Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Warm welcome to all of you on behalf of APAC News Network to the third Global Education and Skills Conclave. My apologies again for the delay in start. As I mentioned, that a couple of discussions from the morning overran. This is a three-day conclave, and today is the second day. We had an inaugural session yesterday, attended by a number of policymakers from the government side, senior central government functionaries, different state government functionaries, different education bodies like AICP, CBSE, and then we are running parallel tracks on higher education and school education. We had six panel discussions yesterday, and already in the morning we had a couple of panel discussions. So now this panel is a very important aspect that we would like to discuss: higher education admission opportunities and challenges, and especially true in the new normal. When we are talking about having a blended learning kind of model, what are the admission challenges there, and how to mitigate those challenges and create opportunities in turn? We have a very esoteric set of panelists, and it's my privilege to introduce the panelists here. But before I introduce them, maybe it would be pertinent for me to mention all the partners who have helped us and without whose support hosting a program of this magnitude might not have been possible. So we have our state partners, the states of Education Department of states of Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Gujarat, Uttarakhand. We have government supporting partners from Department of Science and Technology, AICTE, Quality Council of India. We have Innovation Norway as our country partner, our presenting partners, Dell and Intel, our technology partner, Microsoft, our co partner, ViewSonic, our display partner, Samsung, our security partner, Fortinet, our gold partner, Crestron, our associate partners, Gyanmark Technologies, Finance Sphere, and MapMy India, our education partner, APG Education, our school admission partner, UniApply, our university partner, Chitkara University, our group school partner, the Jaipuria Group of Schools, and our school partners, the Global India School, Glendale Academy, and Central Public School. Uh, so now, let me introduce the panelists for this discussion. We have with us Dr. Shashi Anand Sridharan, Vice President, Kalasilangam University. Welcome, Dr. Shashi.
Good afternoon to all. My pleasure
Yeah.
to be here.
We have Dr. Kiran Pai, co-founder and pro-chancellor of Vidyashilp University. Welcome, Dr. Kiran.
Hello, it's great being here. Thank you
Hello.
for inviting me.
We have with us Professor Srihari Prakash Honwad, President of Sir Padmavat Singhania University. Welcome, Professor Srihari.
Good afternoon. It's wonderful to be with so many uh, delegates, so many of my
Thank
peers.
you. Thank you. We have with us Dr. R.S. Bawa, Pro Chancellor, Chandigarh University. Welcome, Dr. Bawa. We have with us Dr. Anubha Singh, Vice Chancellor, Alliance University. Welcome, Dr. Anubha.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here.
We have with us Dr. Priti Bajaj, Vice Chancellor of Galgotias University. Welcome, Dr. Priti.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We have with us Professor Prem Bhatt, Pro Chancellor of the North Cap University. Welcome, Professor Bhatt. And to moderate this discussion, we have with us Mr. Vishal Tiwari, Zonal Manager of No Paper Forms. Welcome, Vishal.
Thank you, Ragnesh Ji. Pleasure to
Thank you.
moderate this panel.
And now I would like to hand it over to Vishal, The stage is all yours, and I'm sure we will have a very interactive and fruitful discussion and come up with some best practices regarding admission opportunities. Thank you. Over to you, Vishal.
Thank you so much, Rajneesh, for handing over this to me. And it's my absolute honor. So, a very good afternoon and a warm welcome to our esteemed panelists and the audience who have taken out their valuable time and decided to invest it here with us on today's topic, that is higher education admission opportunities and challenges. Thank you for joining us at this third Global Education and Skill Conclave. I'm Vishal Tiwari, Zonal Manager at No Paper Forms. We are India's largest comprehensive enrollment automation platform, serving more than 500 universities and educational institutions across the country to streamline and upscale the admissions and revolutionizing the way they attract, engage, and enroll students. Moving forward, today we are here with the eminent speakers coming from India's top universities, and we would like to understand that how higher education admissions is shaping up in India. What are the opportunities and challenges they see on the way? The world has realized that the economic success of any country is directly determined by their education system. Education is nation's strength by building human capital. A developed nation is inevitably an educated nation. India's higher education system in the world is third largest in terms of students next to China and United States. India's higher education system has witnessed a tremendous increase in the number of universities and university level institutions and colleges since independence. And the Right to Education Act, which stipulates compulsory and free education to all the children, has brought about a revolution in the education system of the country, with statistics revealing a staggering enrollment in the school over the last few years. I would like to understand and move forward to our speakers. What do they think is the impact when it comes to higher education admissions? And how has the admission management in higher education institutions evolved over this period of time? So, probably Dr. Shashi Anand Sridharan, sir, uh, would you like to begin with?
Yes, so I'll just give my opening remarks. A very good afternoon to each and every one of you present here. My name is Dr. Shashi Anand Sridharan. I'm the Vice Chancellor of located near me. So, and I think, Mr. Vishal, this is a really crucial topic which you brought about, and like something which has over the last 2 years, I would say, like especially after COVID set since March 2020, has also even before that, online management of admissions had started, but then COVID mandated, I would say, for many institutions to see how we could move into the online admission scenario. So, as institutions, like us being our main stakeholders, students being our main stakeholders, it was very crucial for us, especially during the COVID period, given that we were cut off from meeting them in person. Prior to March 2020, majority of our admissions were like students expressing their interest, applying online, coming to campus, having a counseling session in person, or writing the entrance examination, having an in-person counseling session, and then getting admitted inside the university. But the entire in-person contact was cut off due to in the last 2 years because of COVID restrictions, and we had to move the entire process to an online platform. And that's where softwares or applications like No Paper Forms, or many indigenous applications also at Kalasalingam University, we have our own indigenous application which help us track the leads from different sources, be it online or calls or website, wherever it is, and basically follow up with them, schedule counseling sessions. And also due to the COVID part, especially last year was a major challenge, because before that we had our entrance exam. Based on the marks, we would schedule counseling, and that was a very straightforward process before that. Last year, because all entrance exams had to be cancelled because of COVID, it was a much more challenging process in order to get the admissions done. And without the support of technology, without in terms of trying to see where the students are, what their interest is, counseling with them, interacting with them, emailing, a lot of communication activities with them, everything was done virtually. Without the support of technology, I would say this would have been very much impossible last year, and the same is continuing this year also. Even though this year campuses had opened up a bit, like there's still a hybrid model that we are following. So I would say going forward, as we go forward, even now, see if the third wave is expected or things are coming back to normal, however the situation might be, people are still used to both, of both the physical as well as an online model. So a hybrid model of admissions is what I see going forward in the future as well. So in a nutshell, I would say the role of technology in the entire admission flow is something not to be discounted, and really taken care and see how we can leverage. We have seen over the last 1.5 years the power of technology, which has helped institutions to bring in more students, not only from the region but also from other parts of the country and even abroad as well, with many institutions offering online and ODL programs also. So the abroad admissions has also increased. So power of technology is something not to be discounted and leveraged upon going forward in the future to ensure we have a seamless admission process. So these would be my opening remarks. Thank you for this.
Thank you, Dr. Shashi, for sharing your transformation from just having an offline kind of thing to having a parallel ecosystem where a hybrid kind of environment, the technology is helping you to manage your admissions. I would like to move forward to Dr. Srihari, sir, to share his views on how the admissions of higher education has evolved over this period of time for his institution. And probably, yeah, over to you, sir.
I think all the institutions who were admitting large number of students had already gone online. It was only a handful of institutions who had a limited number of admissions to be made, were still probably, even they, I'm sure, were had gone online, but they were handling processes in a physical manner. What I foresee in future is online is here to stay, simply because the generations which we are looking at, their existence is in the virtual world. They are always online, whether we like it or not. And online, they will connect. There is going to be the supporting part of our stakeholders, the parents, the other people involved, who will want to come down and visit, and who will want to have their ideas reinforced. Of course, even the students would like a counseling, this thing that is not going to go away. But even that counseling can be enabled online, considering the technology that is available. So it's going to be more and more online, excepting in a few places where people would want to come physically visit the organization, meet the people physically. But I see that online is what is going to bring in, especially for universities which are looking at admissions across the country. I'm sure it's going to be online, particularly since it's not just no paper forms which we are talking about, which is probably, I mean, all universities follow some similar methodology. But what is important is today the students' results of the important qualifying examinations are all in the DigiLog. What I foresee is tomorrow students will just allow universities to access that. Like for generations together, GRE scores were allowed to be accessed by universities in US. You just name the university which can access the GRE scores directly, and then the universities would get the GRE scores. That is something which is going to come in, and it's going to reduce a large number of steps in terms of, even today, I'm sure, even though our admissions are online, a lot of registrar offices spend a lot of time in verification of documents. I think that step, I foresee, is going to slowly but surely disappear, and it will save us a lot of time in getting authenticate data of students whose merits need to be decided, and that's one important avenue which I foresee, which is going to be advantageous, so to say. I'm sure there are many others, and I'm sure
Thank
my wiser panel colleagues will raise them too.
Thank you, Dr. Shri, sir. I think I would like to move forward to Dr. Anubha Singh, ma'am, to share her views on this.
Sure. Thank you so much. Well, I would say that before the pandemic, universities were more risk averse and wary of experimenting with new technology. But COVID has put everyone on a level playing field. Right from virtual campus tours to video guidance to online assessments, the admissions process is adapting to the times. So, in other words, COVID has made us braver. Now, talking about Alliance University, while we connected with candidates virtually before COVID, in the past year, the entire admissions process has transitioned online. We've taken a multi channel approach to grow the pipeline and connect with students. We have been hosting webinars, organizing and participating in many virtual recruitment events, creating useful video content to guide applicants through the admissions process. In today's, if I may use the word super flexible, on demand, online environment, keeping applicants or prospective students engaged has become quite challenging. But we have observed that there is an increase in conversion rates as a result of various initiatives, different kinds of sessions, which introduce the applicants to various aspects of the program. Well, we promote organically, providing information of value to our prospective students and nurturing relationship over time. We have connected with other schools through virtual events in order to connect directly with candidates, not just in the country, but globally as well. Engage in panel discussions on admission topics, share information and application materials. But in this context, we have adopted new technologies as well to connect with and assess candidates virtually and fine tune the admissions process, which is a need of the hour. We have created, for example, video production studio that enables staff, students, alumni, and professors to generate video content for the university, which is especially quite useful during a pandemic. Now, with most of the prospective students or applicants unable to travel to campus, we were quite quick to launch the virtual campus tour, offering a 360-degree guided video tours of campus buildings, student accommodations, and student experiences. We have been using NPF from last few years, much before COVID or much before the pandemic hit the country. We typically use internal process management platforms as well, CRMs like NPF, Slate, MS Teams to automate elements of admissions, communications, enrollments. With today's prospective students becoming less and less responsive to old-fashioned marketing and sales techniques, such tools have increasingly become the most important aspect I would say, our recruitment strategy. Yes, the market's place is becoming increasingly competitive, and it's important to ensure that our university strategy keeps up with the latest best practices in the industry. Going forward, universities or institutions will consider whether to continue using new technologies and virtual platforms or return to their pre-COVID processes. My take on that is, as with many other sectors altered by the pandemic, the result will most likely be a combination of both.
Thank you, Dr. Anubha, ma'am. So I think it's as you say, the people who have participated through this hybrid mode of appearing for entrance exams, or whether it is about coming to exploring the campus, it has gone up. I would also want to understand it from Dr. R.S. Bava, sir. What is it that he thinks the pandemic has made impact, or uh, not if we consider not a pandemic, also beyond that, how has the overall engagement of students when it comes to admissions has been evolving from the period of time, I guess let's relate from moving from pen and papers to having in some systems in place, having different application based solution. Or remember the lines that we used to see in, at the university campus for taking the admission forms or taking the admission docket, something. So, sir, I would want to understand how you think has this evolved, and has this contributed positively to the admissions and reaching the larger audience to serve the purpose of education?
Thank you very much. In fact, we at Chandigarh University, right from the beginning, believe that as one of our distinguished panelists has said, those who aspire to have students from all over the country and maybe all over the world, we have to use digital technology and we have to go online. So we work online.
I think we
What we are
lost.
doing currently, last about 4 years, we conduct our online test also. We have a CU set, we call it, Chandigarh University Common Entrance Test. We have made it mandatory for a few disciplines, like, for example, engineering, all branches, management, agriculture, law, biosciences. This is compulsory. Students have to appear in that test for getting admission to Chandigarh University. And this test is online right from the beginning, because you can't expect the students to come to the campus from all over the state. So we create about 170 centers across the country, um, uh, in about 17 states or 18 states, depending on the subject or discipline. So then the for MBA, etc., we do have online counseling also, and there are processes right from the beginning. Well, I think the challenges that, if we may say, the biggest challenges that has been posed is that, rightly pointed out earlier, that the government institution delay their admission, and this affects especially engineering and medical science students or applied health sciences students, because they wait for their turn in those institutions, and thereafter they will take a final decision. So I think, as far as we are concerned, online is the in thing. We will have to remain online, and not much role of offline will be there. In fact, all the kind of technologies available where you can verify the documents, etc., etc. The only thing is when they come to the campus, we can verify their original documents, because that's also very essential. Verification of the original documents and number of things you may do by digital documents, but I think the original documents have to be verified. As far as Chandigarh University is concerned, we engage with the students through various kind of channels, right from their registration to their admission. Like pointed out, we keep on sharing with them what is happening in the university. We organize with them inspirational lectures. We organize with them some kind of engagement lectures on their subject discipline, so that during the period of their registration with the university and they're actually coming to the campus, they have some kind of engagement with the university continued. And fortunately, we have not been adversely affected by this pandemic, and we are getting the attention and presence of students from all 28 states, all 8 UTs, and we have currently students from 50 foreign countries also. So, but I do agree that we will have to employ uh, and engage with a lot of new technology and a lot of innovative things, so that you keep the students focus on what you want them to focus on, apart from conducting a test. And test also, we have evolved a strategy where we conduct their test in the discipline in which they have passed their plus two or graduation. So it is not single test for all the classes. So there are a number of things that we can do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Bawa, for sharing this insight. And as you shared that going online and managing tests is one aspect about it, and you have been able to, significantly manage that in a positive manner, and the numbers have been positive for that matter. Moving on to Dr. Preeti Bajaj, ma'am, I would like to understand that. Education institutions has been focusing a lot on having an integrated campus, and I think that either they have it or they focus on to have an integrated campus to give a very immersive experience to the students. Do we also think, do educational institutions and when we talk about Galgotias, do they also think of having an integrated, a platform where student can have an end-to-end, kind of experience rather than having in silos? What's your take on that, ma'am?
Okay, thank you, Vishal. So it's a good question. I was about to say on the same as well. So, so far as everybody has said, so Galgotias were using online platform pre-COVID as well. So, but that was one part wherein the technology was used for the 100% admission. Being international, it was very essential, and for national level admissions as well. But COVID has helped us to one, more aspect wherein 100% grievances, and this everybody would agree that for grievances, every process has requires improvement, and it's a continual improvement. I believe in every day we learn from each other, and we grow, and we update our processes as well. So COVID has given us opportunity, and probably to think into how the grievances would be at every segment, whether it is ERP, or it is going to be exam or academic, and then students would have their say. So either it is not grievance, but then it is some submission, some plead, some request, and COVID has given us opportunity to integrate all these requests and then come out with an grievance redressal platform, wherein single platform and dashboard can take care of every issue. The second thing is, every when you start with academics, so you have registration, so it was in the blended mode. So what we have done is, now it is 100% online. Apart from that, the mentor mentee, which is a very established system of India in most of the university, and almost every university, wherein we talk about teacher guardian, we talk about peer learning, we talk about mentor mentee. So the scheme was that was in existence, but then everybody used to have interaction. Somebody used to have small might be a strong mentoring, and some of them used to meet the students based on SOS basis. But then this has given us opportunity wherein the mentor and mentee can interact, the chat box, everything, all communication records, and then the kind of issues which students have, those are all using the technology, and this is all to make your system kind of wherein the dropouts would be decreasing. So this is all thanks to technology. So when I talk about integration, so yes, the digital platform, through ERP, through technologies, through various technologies, I would say, which are integrated to into your ERP, which will start from pre-admission and till it would go till alumnus, the students becomes alumna, and then they are involved in the processes. So that's the integrated campus. 100% yes. No campus can be in the India, because ERP is also still evolving, and then but yes, it is lot of data science, it's lot about technology, and until and unless and every day there are new vendors who come up with different technologies, and integrating even accreditation, ranking, your all data, which is required by government agencies, private agencies, and for your campuses, for governance, for academics, for research. So all that is nowadays being integrated into through various platforms, and that's amazing. So I look at that integrated platform, campus, wherein student and teacher can interact, the researchers can interact, and you can have lot of data science query. Everything is possible within that. The best part would be the students can interact with each other. So dashboards are there, but then we have standalone solutions at various platforms. If that all can be integrated, it would be wonderful. So that's all. Partially, I would say 70% we have achieved, and 30% still yet to go, because it's every day it is evolving. So that's all right now.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Preeti, ma'am. I think very well said, highlighted that the intent is, and the efforts has been to centralize. As we look forward to have an integrated campus, we look forward to have an give a great user experience, and to have an integrated kind of experience when they, because it's all about, we have been talking that it's all about the experience that student has when it comes to campus. And with not having that option in hand, because of the situation like pandemic, and maybe and beyond, because for those who would not have an opportunity to travel at the campus, we should be looking at giving that kind of experience through our different platforms to the student. So moving on next to one of the question that I have in my mind, and again it is because the pandemic is hijacking all the discussions that we overgo, because that has been a recent experience and it has actually transformed the way we are doing things. So there has been a thought that post pandemic situation, between the cost of education and a common perception that a degree isn't worth with what it was once. The question that came up is return on investment. Many students or parents believe they will receive an insufficient return on higher education, so they are wary. The challenge was not only to deliver the strong value, but also to communicate it successfully to the students. So this was a thought that was going and being that was a buzz around the students, that whether the degree or the kind of education they were to have in this pandemic situation were equivalent to what they were having earlier, right? So that was one of the question that they have, and I believe that's the thing, that how do educational institutions convey their values that they have been delivering over the period of year. So I would like to go to Professor Premrat, sir, to say that how, what is this right to thought? Is this a right thought that the student or parents might have experienced during this pandemic situation, and how should, um if yes, then how should educational institutions look at these values to the students and parents?
Okay, thank you. Actually, so far as the role of technology is concerned, many of the previous panelists have uh, uh, very nicely articulated. In fact, what I would focus on in response to your question is that uh, resorting to online education, online examination was an operating necessity in the context of pandemic. At no point in time, technology alone can replace people and processes, particularly in the educational system, and therefore, I would hesitate. I will be hesitant to call it a new normal because we might be distorting reality by calling this situation a new normal. It is new abnormal that we have been facing all through, because in real context, education deals with one-to-one contact between teacher and taught in an environment of learning. While technology can facilitate, enable us to improve the efficiency of admissions and efficiency of the teaching learning processes, the effectiveness of admissions and effectiveness of teaching learning process is a major concern that online education system need to, and all of us should really ponder over, particularly because earlier it was thought that distant education was distance from education. But then under the new environment, we were compelled to offer distance education. So while the technology has enormous role in terms of wide reach, you can go global, you can increase your enrollment or at least the catchment area you can reach. But at the same time, technology has its limitation in terms of the digital divide. A lot of people from the rural areas were still not connected with the kind of technology that they need to have, and therefore the digital divide has still not been bridged, and therefore we need to work in a blended mode even for the admission process to help those people who do not have access to the kind of technology that the more endowed citizens have. Secondly, my concern is that even if you get admissions numbers online, unless people, students and parents come and talk to the teachers, talk to the see the facilities, because going on the basis of the campus tour on websites could be actually leading you to the garden path. When the parents and students see the, because websites can be designed beautifully well, and in any case things look much better in a photograph than in reality. Therefore, to me, when parents and students, potential students, come to the campus, talk to the faculty, look at their caliber, see what kind of inspiration capabilities they have, when they look at the facilities, when they look at the work culture, when they look at the environment on campus, talk to the senior students, uh, perhaps the kind of feel that they'll have cannot be contained by online alone. So and to me, therefore, while technology is a great enabler, it is the people, process, and technology all integrated into a common objective of improving the efficiency and effectiveness of the educational process. That should be our goal. So while we definitely involve technology, but thinking that technology alone will do the job is a very inadequate way of looking at things. To me, what the other important, since your theme was opportunities and challenges. The opportunities are the online education, and the new opportunity is the NEP 2020, the National Education Policy, which permits you 40% of the education be online. Therefore, the new opportunity is to get the best possible faculty across the globe and involve them in teaching learning processes to make up for the quality of faculty that many institutions may not be having. Number two, the flexibility that new education policy offers you, and online and the technology can be a great boon, because under the academic bank of credits, some of your students can take a course somewhere else where it's best delivered, and you incorporate the credits so earned. And therefore, that DigiLocker that was talked about, we should therefore use technology where it's good in terms of improving efficiencies, reducing bureaucratic times, reducing delays, and improving transparency and validation. But where faculty is good at, that means in inspiring, involving, and transforming, including their own values cannot be taught. They're taught by coming in touch with the faculty, and therefore we have to have an optimal mix of people and technology, and evolve a process which is hybrid, which takes care of those people who are not good at technology, and also takes care of those millennials who are very tech savvy, so that the mixed blend indeed is the right thing to do. When it comes to the quality of degrees that you mentioned as a question, I would imagine, and since I still involved, irrespective of the ranks that I hold, I've always been, even now I'm teaching, I'm guiding research, I'm publishing papers. My perception is that online teaching can at best be an apology to teaching, where you don't even know whether they're at all listening to you. In fact, given the mutation, you mute your video, you put on your video off mode and mute yourself. Your attendance is seen to be there, but there's just no way for teachers, and there is no kind of technology that where you can see creating a classroom like a digital twin, when the entire classroom is seen and they're in real flesh and blood interacting with the teacher. I have not come across the kind of technology that I'm using, like Microsoft Teams, etc. To me, I'm only addressing some circles with some alphabets written there, and therefore, to me, at best, it can be an apology for teaching. But the quality of teaching learning process that the conventional university system is expected to have, I wish it returns back as soon as possible. Otherwise, the batches that would be graduating under the corona call would be very distinctly be different from the rest of the batches that we are used to. The other thing that I wish to flag, which indeed, since you mentioned challenges, which Professor Bawa did mention, the real challenge today in admission process are twofold. A, the total imbalance in the disciplines in which we are admitting people, where everybody likes to study computer science and engineering, and fortunately or unfortunately we fall prey to it by offering them because we don't want to disappoint them. Therefore, the kind of imbalance that is happening, the core branches of engineering are really a major victim of this. And I cannot imagine a world without a core branches of engineering. After all, computer cannot manufacture products, cannot build roads, cannot feed hungry people. Therefore, while computers are enabling technology, the kind of distortion that's taking place in the admission process, where everything being admitted in computers and the core branches are being closed, to me, I see is a major threat to the future balanced technological development for the nation. And the last threat that I see, as with Professor Pawa did point out, where everybody likes to study in IITs, NITs, and government colleges because of the fee and the wage they carry, the private universities are always at the receiving end, where even if you think that your admissions are full, the people can almost, the moment they get admission in so-called perceived better institutions, they may ditch you anytime. And therefore, as a result, the kind of uncertainty it has caused to the admission process to the privately owned institutions because of their higher fee, and poor perceived image compared to IITs and NIT. I'm saying perceived image because perception may not be reality, and therefore the kind of uncertainty under which we have to live till the situation stabilizes, and the gap in the admissions in IITs and NITs, and even the government universities are putting private institutions almost on tenter hooks because they are not sure whether the admission they think they have had would actually be sustainable admissions when all the admissions are full. So therefore, this kind of interdependence of the private institutions on IITs and NITs and government institutions, universities, is indeed is a cause of major challenge. I thought that perhaps I'll put my point of view, but then enormous flexibility exists with the technology. Use technology to the extent it is providing you flexibility, convenience, efficiency, but do not rely wholly on it the moment it comes in terms of quality, effectiveness, and the real impact of faculty in flesh and blood. Okay,
Thank you, Professor. Uh, Quite a thought and important aspect that Professor Premwat sir discussed about dealing with pandemic situation is not about just a new normal. That's the kind of new abnormal that has happened, and everyone tried their best to cope up. And I think that has helped us just to have technology as an enabler for the situation, and probably that gave us a thought to have a kind of either a hybrid or a kind of a the potential that the education system holds with the help of technology. So it also talked about DigiLocker. I remember people using DigiLocker for verifying the students' Aadhaar authentication or getting the documents. Government has been talking about having a DigiLocker. Like a lot of 12th standard certificates are being published on DigiLocker so that you can access it from there. Such kind of technology adoptions and authentication platforms, and these are helping to do away with the operational matters of dealing with various admission processes. And I believe that is going to help and support the system so that the people who are at core to the education, who are the teachers or the faculties, could focus more on the competent part, which is about delivering right education rather than being busy into the operational matters for that matter. Uh, One important thing that Sir highlighted is about the shift in the students opting for more practical oriented and industry oriented courses. Probably they feel that there is more of a right implementation that can help them have a better placements and shift it from humanities. I would like to move on to Dr. Kiran Pai, ma'am, to understand what are her views and suggestions and thoughts that about the shift of people moving to more of a practical courses, industry oriented courses, and going away with humanities. uh, Dr. Kiran Pai, ma'am.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Vishal, for putting this engagement together. And I agree with many of the points that our esteemed panelists have made. Just building off from that, so universities are coming out from the back of two eras. One is the pandemic. Of course, we've had to radically change our teaching processes, our admission processes. If anyone called themselves not tech savvy before, that's not a thing you can hear today. Nobody calls themselves not tech savvy. So now everyone's pretty much acclimatized to teaching online and to running administration online. So that's one thing. Second thing is we're also coming out from the back of the NEP, right? And the NEP itself has new variables, even within the administration process, that we need to think about when we choose technology solutions. One, for instance, is the multiple entry, multiple exit. How are you going to work that through your technology systems when a student returns? How are you going to assess learning gaps? How are you going to fit them to the program? That's a second thing. And the third aspect, I think, really is what you talked about just now. Students shifting to a more practical oriented approach, I think, is coming out from the anxiety that has occurred with the job losses that have come through the pandemic. People are now recognizing that it's really critical to have technical skills up in the forefront. And with humanities, uh, I do feel that the need to understand human behavior, the need to understand human psychology is still very much required. Understanding people's cultural identities is still very important. Um, so while I may not have the data to talk about, whether humanities is not a desired course, it is very much relevant uh, uh, with what the industry requires. So, in as much as talking about what the challenges are, we're seeing it in all these fronts. Universities need to tackle the tech aspect, tackle the industry shifts, tackle the um, new NEP variables that are coming in to include that in its university processes. And perhaps what is the most challenging, I think, is especially with the virtual world. As just building off what Professor Prem had said, um, it's so much easier for students to disengage in a virtual world. So much easier. I mean, you could just click on the plus button and move to a different window. But you cannot do that when you're visiting a college. When you go to a university as a student, you are invested in the people who speak to you. You are connected to the faculty who is talking about their program to you. Um, and students, because they've taken that time to go to the university in person, are so much more committed um, uh, to the admissions process, and that's a very difficult barrier to overcome. If we run our entire thing hybrid with the admissions process, but that's a difficult piece to overcome, the engagement piece. So while we can put a virtual campus tour in place, it still doesn't give that sort of commitment steadiness that would otherwise be in a physical tour. Another issue I think is, with the standardized testing that now students see as an optional piece. I think last year we had seen that, especially with the US universities. A lot of our students saw GRE was optional, GMAT is optional, and are looking for that. Is it going to be optional? And if you have an admission criteria that includes standardized testing, it may dissuade students from proceeding in the admissions process. So that is one concern. And finally, the digital platform is only a screen. I think with India, especially, we're the second largest country in terms of digital users. I think a great number of them are mobile users. So on the mobile phone itself, how do you differentiate your university? It's all quite the same. At best, you can add a new bell and whistle, but at best, really, it is the same. And for the student to differentiate and to create a fitment, between their identity, their program, even the most desired jobs, how do you differentiate? How do you cut through the noise? I think those things have become uh, far more difficult. I mean, if you talk to our students today, they're all stuck in choice paralysis. Choice of too many also is an issue. So I think creating those differentiations has become very difficult when it comes to the admissions, marketing, communications piece.
Correct. Uh, Thank you, Dr. Kiran ma'am. I think very well highlighted that uh, being in university, how do we differentiate ourselves in this virtual world and reaching out to people and communicating the values that we hold, the differences that we hold as an institution, the difference that how different we are to any education institution that they are looking up just by either what is emails or sending videos or something like that and engaging them on a platform. So quite interesting observations and thoughts being heard about. So I would like to also understand from our panelists that has this impacted differently on the undergraduate and the postgraduate programs that we are hosting, or the impact is equally on both the part? I just want to have an understanding about this from your experience. Who would like to pick it up first? Uh, so maybe
I
someone,
can
Dr.
answer a
Sachin.
bit. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So that was actually a very interesting point that you brought about. And even if you look at the government orders also, the first time as and when things started relaxing, they first asked postgraduate students and researchers to come to the campus first, and then only followed by undergraduate students. So this pandemic, I would say, has affected mostly the postgraduate students, especially the research students. Think about your science research, chemistry researchers who need chemicals, who need campus and a lab set up to carry on their research, right? So in terms of, you can change the research topic to something which can be done online, but then whatever they were doing before was completely like, even though you could do some simulations or like, online virtual labs were available, they were kind of like, I would say handicapped during the entire pandemic period, especially the lockdown, when they could not come to the campus. So our postgraduate admissions, I would say, especially in these domains, like, wherein a lot of hands-on work was needed, be it the sciences or like, your doctorate programs, wherein a lot of hands-on experience was needed, were definitely affected during the pandemic. Or even when students joined, it was just that they were simply idle and like, engaged in some sort of other activities rather than what what we intended for them to do. So that I would say was like, one section which was hit. On the other side, your other postgraduate programs, like, be it MBA, MCA, or computer science based, which did not have much of a practical aspect needed, those were actually flourishing because during the pandemic, many of the undergraduate students were finding it difficult to find jobs also. And instead of like, staying at home, given that classes were also online, many of the students also decided to go in for postgraduate programs, and we kind of had an increase in admissions in the other postgraduate programs as well. So there were two sides of the coin. One side which was affected, and the other side which was also positive, as a result of like this online teaching as well, I would say. Yeah.
I would
Great.
also agree to what Dr. Shidharan has said. The programs wherein internships were there, like pharmacy, wherein lot of practicals, and then actually you have to perform, and then paramedical courses wherein we have physiotherapy. So 1 year you need to go for internship, then MLT, CVT, and all nursing, wherein your job is. So nursing was fine; they were into COVID wards, but then other than that, it was very very challenging to get an internship, to work and to do the hands on and to write the report. Their internships were getting postponed and postponed and postponed. So that has really affected the PhD students. But wherein they are supposed to do some coursework, they are supposed to be in the campus, and every research cannot be done online. So that is really true. That has research has really affected. Although the universe has been flooded with lot of research papers, I would say, but all those research papers must be virtually done on simulation, and every work cannot be simulated as well. That's I believe, at least. So that.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Preeti ma'am, for heading up to Dr. Shashidharan. And I would like to move, looking at the time, and I'd like to move to each one of you to share your concluding remarks about how what are your advice to all the institutions and the people who are listening to us uh, when they have to talk about managing their admissions, or it is about planning to have a right kind of student intake and to have a better future ready generation. What are the key things they should be taking away from today's discussion and should be planning to execute in their campuses? I would like to start from uh, maybe Dr. Srihari sir. And
Uh, okay. I think this discussion has thrown a lot of issues, very interesting issues. Need for online and offline. Professor Premwat rightly pointed out the digital divide, and I think we would want to, or each of our universities would want to address the digital divide in as many. As seriously as we can afford to. What I foresee is in future, see a lot of service providers are going to be common amongst our universities, and there is this possibility of a consortium of at least the private universities, which will make the admission process smoother for our students. In the sense, one point application process which will help them navigate through all the universities, and there could be a simulated advice given both universities as well as to the candidates as to where their fitment is, and ease out this anxious process. It's anxious for universities. You don't know who are your students finally, and it's equally anxious for students that which is the right fitment of universities. I'm sure that is what I see coming in future, especially with the amount of money each of the universities has to spend to reach out to the same set of students. I'm sure we will do well by joining hands and minimizing that stress somewhere. That I think would be a takeaway as far as I am concerned. I'm not saying it will happen in 2022, but in near future there will be those simulators which will help the universities and the students to find the right fitment. That's my
Thank you.
take on.
Thank you, Dr. Sherry, sir. We, Dr. Anubha ma'am, would like to
Yeah.
share her remarks.
Yes, thanks, Vishal. I was waiting for to speak on this very interesting point here. I would approach it from I would say slightly a twist. When considering programs, what do aspirants look at? What do they? What are these factors? Whether it is offline or online, what are these factors? It's knowledge, experience, and credential. So of course, when I talk about experience, they do see how will the faculty, the classroom, and campus experience help me forge human connections and build a professional network that will support my career progression or my learning outcome. And is this experience something that I can enjoy? Will completing this program grant me a credential that will help me stand out, either for the job market or for higher education, depending on which cohort we are talking about, and so on. So, looking at the situation we are in, that means again referring to COVID. Um, it's very important to see how do we reach out to students with the human touch, and to ensure a more human element to, even though we are reaching out partly digitally and partly directly. One of the things is that large information sessions can be replaced by intimate, call it coffee chats, or in small group hostings around 15 to 20 participants, where candidates can join in conversation with professors, deans, admission staff, or alumni. We've been doing that. And to maintain a personal touch, each applicant is provided with a primary contact on the admissions team, and also a faculty coordinator. That's for that group, and so that they can communicate via text. Something previously thought of as too personal now has become a norm, where they have to connect on a one-to-one level, so almost like virtual face-to-face interaction, if I may say. Face-to-face is only used for in person, but we have to create that kind of scenarios. And most importantly here, because I'm talking about the human element on a digital platform, having the right people to run such a session is the key element of the success. And that's what we have seen. It's not just technology, but the connection, the interpersonal skills, having an impact, touching on sensitive matters where the students would be worried. So, building relationship with aspirants or students in a friendly environment, giving them confidence about our learning environment is crucial, especially since the majority of students in our program, and I'm sure across all universities, are from different regions of the country, and also, why not even international. So, well, I would say that we have increased individual consultations, ensuring that everyone who wants to speak one to one with our admissions or our faculty or professor has the opportunity to do so. Since COVID, we have taken on a reassuring role with students, helping them to get to know the Alliance community and communicating why they should choose Alliance education. Even though they have not visited yet, of course, since Karnataka opened quite early, so we are also hosting students on campus. But it's important to also note that most of our programs are in-person experiences. They are not online, 100% online or digital programs. So whether recruiting or in interviewing in person is an interesting part of the assessment process, both for candidates and for us, because it's a mutual fitment that we see as we figure out the right candidates for the program. But then, it's important to say that right from artificial intelligence chatbots on the website to, partnering with other platforms, let's say for standardized testing or various kinds of things there, gives candidate the flexibility to take the test from home when they are remotely, of course, remotely proctored. But at the same time, looking at their scholastic track record, creating video assessments where they can talk about their other skills which may not be tested through a standardized test. Provide, and then we have also used few other assessment strategies to look at, or at least to get a great sense of communication skills, problem solving skills, and critical thinking ability of our aspirants. So these are the things that we have been doing. But I'll again emphasize that how do we position ourselves in terms of the knowledge that candidates will gain, the experience that which is very immersive and to get them that feel, and of course the credentials which will be very valuable. So this answers your previous question also. We were talking about ROI.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for sharing that, and I am sure our audience will have some of the key takeaways out of this conversation also. Uh, uh, I would also move to Professor Premvat sir for his concluding remarks for our audience and a takeaway while they. Uh, Sir, I think you are on mute. Yeah.
Technology is an enabler, and we must make use of it so long as it enables. But at the moment it becomes a disabler, we should guard against it. For example, overemphasis on artificial intelligence should not mean that the real intelligence is undermined. Overemphasis on virtual reality should not mean that the ground reality is to be undermined. And therefore, using technology judiciously to the extent it helps you, enhancing the quality of teaching learning process is always welcome. But where it becomes negative, for example, the quality of education and particularly the quality of examination has been badly hit by online system, we must therefore guard against, because it might distort the habits to the extent that everybody may lie in his comfort zone. Educational institution may enjoy it because their cost of education is coming down. Students are enjoying because they don't have to travel and work hard. Examination is a great thing. The only hit would be learning. That defeats the very purpose for which we exist. So therefore, while guarding against those negative side effects of technology, we must make use of it wherever it is useful, but guard against it where it is doing damage. That's the way I look at it. Thank you very much. I need to log out because I have my engagement scheduled after 1:15, and it took. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be present, and I need to now log out. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, and very well shared. And just to move on for the concluding remarks from Dr. Preeti ma'am and Dr. R.S. Bava sir for our audience, and then looking at the time, we may conclude the session from there.
Okay,
Yeah, Dr.
so
Preeti.
shall just one liner from my side. I would say, without digital, we cannot survive as on today, whether it is pre-COVID or COVID or post-COVID. So that's for survival. That has become to connect with the young generation, to connect with the globally. That has been proven during COVID time. In fact, that how important it was, and in fact that has given us opportunity to connect with everyone who was not on digital. So people have learned the technology, people have learned how to be survived in this digital world. So let's take this forward. What is required is to use it. Yes, overuse would be difficult. So yes, everything cannot be online until and unless it is being supported by. So there are a lot of softwares also which have come up with the AI and all for exams to become foolproof. But yes, without that, if we are going digital, and then that's a mockery of the system. So we need to see, we need to be digital, we need to use, in fact, and we have to come out with an integrated campus. But yes, face to face, you cannot, that cannot be substitute for the face to face. So you need to be digital, you need to use that, you need to we need to go along with that, with, to the extent that is based on every individual campus, every individual what's your vision to take the campuses to world class or to international or to be local. That's up to you. And yes, overuse is should not be there. So I believe for integrated approach, blended approach would be taking every campus to the I would say next generation, because where we are almost having 10 years ahead of time. So that's there. So if you have to be to cope up with the time and the pace, you have to be digital. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Preeti ma'am. I think working hand
So
in hand
Vishal,
in
I'm
finding.
just moving on. I have another panel discussion. In fact, it was at 1. I have postponed it to 1:30, and now it's time to move. Thank you, and thank you
All right.
everyone.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
ma'am.
much.
Thank you, everyone. So I guess looking at the time, we should be concluding this session for the next session to begin on time. And I would like to thank each and every panelist for sharing their time and valuable time and investing it here for our audience. And I'm sure our audience would have got some key takeaways to with them so that they can go ahead and implement and bring out a success in that matter. Uh, I think that's it for the day. Thank you, everyone. Over to you, Rajneesh Deji. Thank
Thank
you. It
you,
was really great.
Vishal, and thanks for that interactive panel discussion. I'd like to thank all the panelists, Dr. Shashi, Dr. Kiran, Dr. Anubha, Dr. Bawa, Dr. Srihari, and Professor Prem Vrat, and the other panelists, and Vishal, for wonderfully moderating this discussion. Wishing all of you a good day, and thanks for joining today.
Thank you all.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, everyone. Pleasure. Pleasure.